Greetings of the day. Today, I, Assistant Professor Nupur Agroyee, on behalf of Sage University, is here to enlighten you in the field of virtual education, new era of learning. Let's begin by asking you all. Of course, it's a one-way communication in the platform of YouTube, but of course, you can comment me that what is education? For me, education is something different from being literate. What is literate? A person is literate when at one time he is able to write his name and and put up his signature. But if we go for education, then education means that we have all the perspectives, we have our own perceptions on what grounds we have to decide our decisions. All right, that is education. Education is just a story of stories. Now, what do you mean by this? A story of stories. Look, now, if I say the apple fell on Newton's head, someone told to someone else, and then the story rotated and it came to us, it's in our textbooks now. So, it is a form of stories. Someone has told to someone, and someone has just jotted down on his books. Someone wants to tell them, someone wants to listen to them. If this thing I'm telling you about virtual education, no one will listen, what is the use of all my efforts? Therefore, education is a two-way process where someone wants to tell something, and on the other hand, someone wants to listen to the same thing. Education happens when you put together someone who wants to teach, someone who wants to learn. It is a simple equation, you know. You have the time and the place of the teacher. Back to last slide. Someone who wants to teach. What is that? A teacher, an educator, a tutor, and someone who wants to listen. The students, the audience, okay? There should be particular interest in both the fields. It's not so. The teacher is just coming in the class without preparing anything and just jot down anything on the board. No. And student also, they should be well prepared with the lesson provided to them. It's a simple equation, as I said before. You have the time and the place of the teacher. If I denote the time by T1 and place by P1, and the time and the place of the student by T2 and P2, what happens is teacher and student, they are directly proportional. In traditional education, both times and places are equal. Now, what I can say about traditional education? Traditional education is such thing where a professor or a teacher teaches at the same time where the student is present in the class. But now, in the current scenario, in the pandemic situation, it can't happen to deal with a lot of people, right? So we can't go like for traditional education till the vaccine arrives. Now we have the support of virtual education. The topic of today, in virtual education, the time and places can be different. For example, I'm recording this video and you will see this video at the time that you are very much comfortable in. Like you can see the video at morning, at noon, or at night. So the time and the place is indirectly proportional now. I cannot bound you here to just sit in the table chair. You can sit on your bed and or anything else. And the connection is technology. So what is the medium of that we are connecting? It's technology, right? You are with your phones, your laptops, your iPads, whatever. So we are connecting through a medium called a technology. But virtual education had been around for centuries. Why I'm saying so? If you have ever heard about Nalanda University, of course, now there are only remains left of it, but there is a sculpture in that tombs, right? In that stupas, to be very frank, in the stupas there are sculptures. That sculptures say something, they depict a story or anything. So virtual education is what that I am seeing or I am listening through anyone else. That is called virtual education. It's been around for centuries. Teachers and students in different times and places have been connected by a technology called books. Now, for just a knowledge, the first printing press was initiated by John Caxton. Books. Before that, there was just handwritten literature or handwritten books. So I write something in a book, be it a poetry, be it a poem or any drama. You are reading my thoughts, right? You are reading my thoughts. So you are connecting with me through books. You are reading my mind through a technology called books. Moving forward, with this ancient technology, someone in one time and place can tell a story. I'm telling a story to you all, to someone in a different time and place. Okay? For example, I'm recording this lecture on at noon. At noon, it's 2 p.m. and you are very much, busy, and you will listen to this like maybe 7 p.m. So I am telling you a story through a book, through a lecture, and you are listening to this lecture in a different time and place. So hopefully, successful education was based on expert users of this ancient technology. Like book is also a previous form of video or audio lecture. You can take your comfort zone and you can just go wherever you want. Good readers and good writers. Now, what my point is, successful education is based on expert users of good readers, that is, good readers and good writers. What do you mean by good readers and good writers? If I write anything rubbish, no one will read my book. All right. And if there are no people interested in reading, then what is the use of me writing such a perfect thing? So, successful education is just based on two factors, good readers and good writers. Yesterday, we can see the picture yesterday that two ladies are sitting and they are reading a novel or a book, whatever. Today, we are having all sorts of technology like laptop, phone, and we are just one click away, right? The process is the same, the tools are different. Right? Am I right? Of course. The process is the same. Why the process is the same? The tutor, your teacher, is at some other place, but the tools are different. In primitive times, the tool were like books, but today the tools are laptops, your phones, your iPads. Now just have a look at this picture, the slide. Different media, different speeds. Two students are sitting with their laptop, one with iPad, and the head of the family, I think he's the dad, he's reading through he's having a glance at newspaper. So why there are different speeds? Many of you must be having a habit to browse the news through your mobile phones, but at the same time in your family, the parents and the great grandfathers or the grandfather must be reading this through newspaper. Why? They always say that you should read newspaper, but we go through the same content in social media. So there is different speed of grasping the knowledge. When education has a time and place, we have a course. Now, a course is a place where you can go to listen to a story. Okay, course. I think that in every book, every chapter, there are contents divided. That we can say that is the course. We have to go through it and listen to a story. Now it's not the thing that books will say something. You have to, of course, read them. Then a course is one story, plus one host, like a story has written by an author and one host that is making you understand that. One story, one host plus several guests. Several guests are you all, the students. But today we have new principle like new materials, right? Atoms, bills, processing inform versus moving objects, intangibles, collective knowledge, generation of ideas, and misinformation. We have many sorts of things. We can say that in the current situation of pandemic, we can say there are plenty of WhatsApp messages that are being forwarded to us. Like they have all the rubbish things of information, like drink this, you will not get corona, don't do this, and whatsoever. But what happens is this fake? Is this true? We are always in a dilemma. So the place, of course, the place and the time. So what happens is in a new course, the materials I'm talking about, books and the content available online, the place where you can grasp all this, and the principles like the time is like feedback, multitasking, content change, constant change, I'm sorry, a life project versus a life of projects. There is a new arena for this ongoing conversation between teachers and students, the virtual classroom. Now, here my topic actually begins. They were just the insights of the topic, and now what is basically the virtual classroom. Virtual classroom is the activities are done like discussions, questionnaires, homework, glossaries, chats, blogs, and Wikipedia, of course. Then the resources like links, reading, learning objects like I forward my students various type of link through which they can solve the grammar worksheet, they can go through the communication skills and different types of language. But how the files are kept now, the folders, the document, videos, and audios, of course. So this is the actual content, this is the actual campus of virtual classrooms. A place full of tools for the host to find new ways to tell the story. Look, I have plenty of tools, like if we go through this recording itself, I have prepared a ppt, and then I have used different type of pictures to make it more presentable, to make it more very good, that the information grasp in your head truly, right? So the place full of tools, I have plenty of tools, I can share screen now, I can show you the world through that screen. Okay, so this place is full of tools for the host to find new ways to tell the story. A story can be told in sequence, like virtual classroom. First I have to give a proper introduction, then about the characters and so on, or not. Of course, if I am teaching you all, I just don't go in sequence. Like the first thing is what is communication, and then the second is what are the barriers of communication. If I just teach you, just imagine if I teach you the barriers of communication first, then what is the use of teaching the communication in the second part? Okay, so we have to, of course, go with the flow. It can be full of resources like reading, audios, link, videos, stimulations, and learning objects, and activities like vlog, discussion, chats, questionnaires, homework, glossaries, Wikipedia. So, what are the activities? Like I give my students to solve various kind of grammar worksheets. That are their activities. Then I give them any topics. Just speak on that, like this is a ring, so just speak on this. So these are activities for basic communication, but it will be lifeless without an active interaction. Of course, in just online class, if I'm speaking and no one is responding, what is the use of so much efforts that I have made? Of all the participants, of course, all the participants, not only one student telling me, ma'am, please explain this or say this or anything, but there should be an active participation from all of you. So the resources and activities are important, but not important as creativity or creating. So what happens is we have to collect plenty of resources before delivering just one lecture. Okay, so these are very, very important. And before giving this to you, a community should be formed. Like every student must give their thoughts, what I want to say, what I want to deliver to them. Okay, we can have the best of both worlds. Like both worlds, which both worlds? I'm talking about virtual education and traditional form of education. We can have best of them, of course. Situation will not remain soon. They will end and go to school in many ways. But some schools are not getting it right yet. Now, basic importance, what are there? 5 big mistakes of school running nowadays. School, colleges, whatsoever. Big mistake number one, believing that virtual education equals to massive education. No. Virtual education never means a massive education. Technology is a multiplier, but education is one-to-one process. Technology is a multiplier. I can connect many of my students to one platform, but education is of course one-to-one process. If I will not ask anyone that, did you understand this thing, or is there any doubt? So there will be no use. There is no limit in number of participants, material, activities, links, but learning is not accumulation but assimilation. Now let me clear the difference between both these words, accumulation and assimilation. Accumulation is collection of resources and assimilation is just making them in right place in a right content. For example, if I'm teaching you anything like behavior science, if I give you plenty of notes from every writer, from every book, what will you do? This will just create havoc. But if I'll give you various definitions and activities, so the learning will be fun. So there is no limit in the number of participants, material, activities, and links. You don't have one course of 250, you have 250 courses of one. That's what I want to say, that assimilation should be done very nicely. You should be concerned when your decision rate is 40%. That is, if you enroll 1000 students into 8 semester programs, only 20th student at the graduation ceremony, 1 out of 40 students. So what is the thing is, now just imagine, your teachers are teaching you so much. You remember this much and you write this much. What is the use then? You have to be very, very prompt, in especially in virtual education. Teachers should go through many, many ideas, like they have to collect various resources to make learning fun. Big mistake number two, believing that virtual education is mysterious and complex education. It's not at all mysterious. There is no mystery in connecting someone who wants to learn and someone who wants to teach. Look, a student who is very much punctual, who is very much addicted to learning, he will learn in any scenario, in any circumstances. Just you have to give them the tools and they will just create a magic. There is a myth that goes around, a good traditional teacher will not easily become a good virtual teacher. It's appropriately false. There is nothing like a traditional teacher can only become or not never become a good virtual teacher. No, you should have a good hand in technology. Of course, a traditional teacher is the best. A halo of complexity and mystery is always covalent to create an allied group within the School for Virtual Education. We are transferring the vices and bureaucracy of old education to the new scenery. Welcome to the new and improved virtual inferno of politics and intrigue. So what happens is, there is nothing very much complex, very much mysterious. Just go through many points and collect them in one. Big mistake number three, putting technology before pedagogy. Pedagogy is the science of teaching, especially. An education system logic should be as follows: student, teacher, materials, technology. Technology is the tool that helps the teacher to create materials to share with the students. Technology should be the bridge that allows the teacher student interaction. Technology should always be like that. The students and teacher are connecting very nicely. All right. But the real system usually work like this: students, material, technology, and then teacher. Teacher becomes subordinates of technology which dictates the way they should live the story. See how far the teacher is. Probably that is why they call it distance education. You know, of course the teacher is very far here, but what happens is if the students is very much good and they really want to learn, there is nothing like distance. Big mistake number 4, underestimating your teachers and students. What happens is many teachers, what they do that they say to their student that this guy cannot perform well, there is no use to work on him, and many they comment like that only. And students also say to teachers, this ma'am or this doesn't teach well, he doesn't know anything. So there is nothing like this, dear. They are, of course, your seniors and they know better. Some schools have developed a virtual education system, but it is a closed system, closed to criticism, closed to experimentation, and closed to innovation. What happens is many people do that if they want to have a PPT, they just copy paste from somewhere. No, you have to put your efforts, you have to put your creativity. A very well renowned author, he said that if you want different results, you have to practice different things every day. You can't do a monotonous thing on the same path and expect different results. That's not good. Standardization and moderately are dogma. Teachers cannot move freely outside predetermined paths, neither do students. There is, of course, a line which should be maintained by both teachers and students. No teacher should violate the rules, even though no student should do so. Students receive pre-designed objects, packages, modules, not courses. What is happening nowadays? All the students are getting a bunch of syllabus that you have to study this, and this, divided in unit 5, even though it's not very practical towards the scenario. So what is the use? So students want that the education now should be very practical. A package is the product of a designer. A course is an unpredictable and single event hosted by an educator. A module is predetermined. A course is contingent, like the course of a river. You know the course of a river, it just go. It just go with the flow. Any pebble, any stone comes in, it just changes the path. It should be like that. No, the syllabus must be very flexible. It should be according to the students and according to the present scenario. The what is the really the demand. Big mistake number 5, taking the fun out of education now. In my school days also, I used to think why this teacher is so strict, why she always shouts on us, why is it? So it should not happen. In some school, virtual education and stress are synonyms. Controls, supervision, measurements, indicators, and reports have replaced the freedom and flexibility that was originally promised in virtual education. Education was transformed into an industrial process. Now, what is happening? Stress is just the synonym of education. Teachers are pressurizing the students to give your assignments, to give so, to give so. But should this be done? No, I don't think so. Teachers should influence the student that just at one call, the student gives the assignment. This should be done. This should be the bond. Education should be accidental, unpredictable, and unscripted. There is plenty of room in virtual education for spontaneously. Students and teachers should be encouraged to take risks, especially in terms of risk. Now, I won't say that chemistry people should go in the lab and mix all sorts of chemical and there will be a boom in chemistry lab. That I don't mean by experimenting. Education should be done in such a way that it is very flexible and students should enjoy it, because we are preparing so much for just you all. All courses cannot be structured the same way. Unfortunately, and homogeneity cannot be a part of a human process. Doing, thinking, watching, analyzing, proposing, building the same ingredients cannot be equally formulated for all the courses. Some courses are intensive with communication, some in reading, some in auto evaluation, some in theory, and some in practice. What do I mean by that? All courses cannot be structured in the same way. For example, if someone wants to learn football, okay, someone wants to learn football, someone wants to play and get excel in that, and I say, okay, you learn. So I just give him many textbook, many notes, and what he says, ma'am, at least take me to the field, and I said no. So all the courses are not structured in the same way. Just imagine you are learning physics without a physics lab. Okay, so all the resources should be done nicely. Some schools are searching for the formula for virtual education for the mold of perfect course. Virtualizing a subject of study should not kill its charm, right? Virtualizing a subject of study, like if I am teaching any topic, but I'm not able to present well in the virtual platform, what is the use then? So what will happen? The student will lose interest in the topic, and my topic will not be appropriate. The labor of a virtual teacher should be amazing, amusing, and fascinating, although we have to disobey our institution to make it so. One more big mistake: we should not make the same mistake and expecting different results, right? We should not do such things like stressing the students and doing all sorts of nonsense thing like do this otherwise this will happen, do this. No, just try to make education fun, and the students will, I just bet, I guarantee the students will come to the teacher and will ask the doubts. So thank you for listening me, thank you for patient listening and watching this video. This was a initiative from Sage University to go through this platform to reach each and every one of you, whether it's a part of Sage or not. Thank you so much. If there are any queries, you can just comment below in the box, and thank you.